Hey, everybody. Hi there. Thank you very, very much for watching this live stream of me talking at you, along with someone who you actually should listen to. It's Jim McCormick. Hi, Jim.
Hello.
Well,
I
that's
think
very
that's
British
okay.
of you. In honor of your new hero, Britton Covey of the
Yeah,
Philadelphia Eagles,
yeah.
obviously that was a homage.
It's not a United Kingdom in Philadelphia right now. I'll say that much. It's not even a kingdom. It's more of just like a dirty little hamlet. Yeah.
All right. Well, that Hamlet, we're going to talk about some games. We're here to preview week 3. We're live, so we'd love to hear from you in the chat. If you're here, chat with each other, ask us questions, chat with us. If you're watching it after the fact, hi. I can't see you. Everyone else, I can see you. If you're live, I can see you. But if you're listening after the fact, I can't. But we're going to talk through all the games. We're going to make picks against the spread. Mostly, we want this show to serve as kind of your beginning to think about the fun NFL week that's coming forward and hitting us all squarely in the face. Week 3 is upon us as of tomorrow night, Thursday night. There will be a Thursday night game. We're brought to you by DraftKings. I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on at DraftKings in a little while. But in the meantime, Jim, we do have a Thursday night game to talk about. It is my New England Patriots. And yes, now that they aren't the worst team in the league, probably, I am so proud to call them mine. And they're going to New York to face Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. And my question for you about this game is, huh? Um, the Jets, do people think the Jets are good? Like, did anybody watch the first half of that Titans game?
I think they're last in yards per play. I think on offense, like it's really like I understand who they've played, but they haven't played well. Like at some point, you have to exhibit some independence and stop blaming the schedule. It hasn't been so difficult, right? It's been bad. It's been bad. The Titans, for example, have been revealed not to be just this world beater, right? They shouldn't be. So it's interesting. Like the Jets, they won last week, but it's not some triumphant win to go and beat Will Levis when he's self imploding and going through like lip reading, sequences with his, coordinators, which are obviously curse laden. But the point is, uh, I'm lost to see where I guess this is Aaron Rodgers' mystique, which I don't understand because there hasn't even been an example of that this year. There hasn't been. I mean, it was one Alan Lazard broken play. I don't understand. What I'm saying is I don't know what we're basing this off of from this year. Like the 120 minutes of football. Like what are we getting that tells us that this offense is? I don't
They
get it.
played well in the second half. They played
They
well in the
did.
second half. They did. And Braylon Allen scored twice, and that's interesting that they've decided that. I mean, I think they had maybe 6 or 7 snaps with both Brees Hall and Braylon Allen on the field, and one of them was right before halftime, and Braylon Allen caught a pass when you decoyed it to Brees Hall. Like all that is interesting, and like if Aaron Rodgers didn't look unhappy all the time and just kind of not wanting to be there, and it just reminds me an awful lot of his last year in Green Bay. I'm not really buying the Jets as being good. The Patriots, however, I mean, we're all going to watch this game, and everybody watching us right now has been sold that the Patriots were the worst team in the league, and now I think maybe we think they're not. You were not convinced last week. You thought that they were going to get their real comeuppance against Seattle. It didn't happen. They lost the game, but they blew it. I mean, they got a field goal blocked or they win that game, and then they lose it in overtime. Are you starting to come around? Not on them being good, but just not on them being not horrible.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, last year I made the same mistake. I had my preseason lowest win total pick was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not that this is the same idea, but what it is that Brissett is better than he's able. He's like a stable floor. Look what he did last year. We talked about Flacco last year with Cleveland, but Brissett was able to take them to like right in the middle, like the mid level or maybe the 20th offense, and that's what he's capable of doing here. Again, repeating that kind of same thing, which is impressive because it doesn't have some of the pieces, at the time, meaning that Browns offensive line and some of those pieces. So I think it's impressive what Brissett's doing, and they're conservative. They're kind of like the more successful or more, I don't know, the less crazy version of what Antonio Pierce tries to do, meaning like running this conservative, like keep the ball kind of thing. It's effective, and I think most weeks it's going to keep you in it, and we keep misreading it, at least I do, in terms of saying that they're going to bottom out. But they don't really have a bottom out style, is the thing. And the defense is real to me. So, yeah.
The bottoming out will happen if and when they're down 3 touchdowns in a game, because they don't have a move.
route back. Yeah.
Yeah. And the pass blocking is horrible, but the run blocking's been really good. I think we're both telegraphing, like, if we're going to make a point spread pick in this game, we're both telegraphing that we just think, what's the line? 6?
6. Yeah. I had a 4.
Think
so
yeah, I did 4 also. So we're telegraphing that we both would probably be on the Patriots here. Like you said before we started, it feels like a field goal game.
Yeah, a field goal game where load your kickers up, friends, if you have a DFS kickers league. So.
In the chat right now, Patrick asks me, how do I get electricity out to the yacht microphone? And it's a complicated system. I'm not going to lie to you. No possums are harmed in the recording of this live stream, but it is complicated. It involves a lot of underwater wire. That's all I can say. I don't really understand it. I hire a worker man to do it for me, but it's a lot of underwater wire.
He's got the guy from MGMT. So it's like an electric eel or something. So,
well, that could be. That's very possible that that's true. Let's move on to Sunday, and your Birds are. Did they play? I don't think they actually played on Monday night, right? That game was canceled.
My Birds. They're birds. They exist. Yeah.
Was that game canceled? I think you were telling me that maybe that game was.
They get a week off after Brazil. That's usually what they do.
So they're going to New Orleans, and they're facing the glorious Derek Carr, who has never had a drive in 2024 that didn't result in a score. And we were talking beforehand how wild it is that not even preseason, but post week 1, the look-ahead line for this game was something like Eagles on the road going to New Orleans and being like a field goal favorite, which feels about what you would expect, because people expected the Saints to be kind of mediocre, and beating up on the Panthers didn't feel like, a huge accomplishment. And now here we are, a scant, whatever it is, 4 days later, and the Saints are favored against Philly. If you could boil down the Eagles' problems as you've seen them through 2 weeks to one word or phrase, what would it be?
No, Nick. Yeah. No. Stop it, Nick. Just no Nick. No more Nick. It's not just Nick, but he represents, because he looks like most people from Philadelphia, just like me, just like little salt and pepper beard, just woke up, and it's just. There's just too many mistakes. There's just too much going on. You mentioned before the show, we were talking about like McDermott in terms of just like, this isn't a just figure it out roster. The way that Howie Roseman works these margins and the way that everybody praises them, like at some point it's like maybe win some games. It just felt so much like last season, the last Eagles performance. Whereas the complete inverse is the Saints look nothing like last season in terms of Kubiak and all this success. It's ridiculous. And like they're 50% play action. Like what? Like everything seems like it's due for a comeback, for some regression. But at the same time, I think the reasoning of the line and the reasoning of the shift is just what they did to the Cowboys. They really just like pummeled them. It wasn't the Panthers. Hopefully the Cowboys are like the Panthers. But then again, I have to deal with this myself now, and I don't want to be compared to the Panthers. So that's a bad precedent to set. So most importantly, I don't have a read really on the Saints that well. I do have a read on the Eagles, and they are just like they shoot themselves in the foot. They are the unforced error tennis player of football. So,
yeah, I like your phrase. I don't think I could repeat the phrase because it's done in a particular patois, but
yeah,
it's a good phrase. So this line has moved all the way to New Orleans. 2.5, is it?
Yeah, yes, under a kick. Yep.
Man, I don't like it. I said it at 2, so I think I would be on Philly. I think you are too, from what you just said.
Yeah, I had it at 1. I thought they were going to give it to New Orleans for just the straight up what they've been doing. There is some of this is true, because you speak to how we shouldn't think that we know so much. We learn so much about the season as it comes, right? Like. So strength of schedule, for example, right? We're starting to see how wrong we were. This was a cupcake game in a lot of previews. Week 3, we're dogs. I don't play for the Eagles. But yeah, I'm taking the points.
All right, so we're gonna keep going with our preview of these games here momentarily, but let's thank DraftKings for being such a great sponsor and making this show possible. We really appreciate DraftKings. If you have never downloaded the DraftKings app, it's a great time to do it. You just have to make one $5 bet, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets put into your account right away. You have to use those bonus bets within a few days, but it's fun to make those bets. You can do some touchdown scoring bets, some prop bets. As Jim likes to say, especially here early in the year, there are some prop bets they'll give you that are pretty good odds, and you can make a little money that way. All we ask is that if you do download the DraftKings app, it really helps us out if you enter the code HarrisTube, all one word. That lets them know that you heard about them via this channel, via this show, and then maybe they'll keep supporting us and sponsoring us. And that really is how this happens, because we're not making like a commission on DraftKings conversions. It's all about advertising, and they see value in all of you, and hopefully you'll have some fun playing on DraftKings. So again, make one $5 bet, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly if you use the code HarrisTube when you sign up. And again, thank you so much to DraftKings. Let's go to the chat. And let's see. Patrick says, cheers to the worker man. Thank you, Patrick. Agreed. Tulio says, let's go. And then I saw Nick Balfour, longtime fan and friend, out there on Malta, who knows as much about this stuff as we do as far as the handicapping goes. In Survivor, Jim, this is a question from Nick. He's just been opposing the Panthers and Denver so far in Survivor. Would you give the Raiders a miss this week and go with Tampa instead? Who do you feel better about winning straight up, not worrying about point spreads between Vegas and Tampa?
That's difficult. Because you want to be able to get in for a Raiders win. That would feel wonderful. But you also don't want to play that risk. I think it's Tampa with how well they're playing. I understand the Andy Dalton thing. I don't think that changes the world. I think it just helps it not look so inept. But at the same time, Tampa, I think, just has a more complete thing going right now. And Todd Bowles, I like what they're doing. The Raiders still seem fallible to me. More fallible, yeah.
It's funny. I mean, point spread wise, I think I'm going to be on both dogs in that game. Maybe I'm insane. But yeah, I think if I was just picking a winner between them, I think I feel better about Tampa. I think I agree with that. All right, let's get back to previewing these games. A really good one. We've got the Texans visiting Minnesota, and the Vikings apparently aren't horrible, despite everybody saying that they had no chance in the NFC North. And we both probably feel pretty hard done by in that Sunday night game, having Houston hit the number exactly at 6, because boy, they were the better team than the Bears. And by the power of the transitive property of suck, I think the Vikings are supposed to be worse than the Bears, but maybe now they aren't. I get it that Minnesota's offensive line is by any measure going to be better than Chicago played on Sunday night. But you said it last week on this show, and I really took it to heart. Houston's pass rush is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, they added Danielle Hunter to Will Anderson, and Will Anderson, I don't know. I think people you don't see a lot of Will Anderson. How many Texans games? I don't know. I watched a lot of highlights last year, but he's really, really good. It's also the secondary, Singletary, like Devin Singletary, that's not his name, Stingley. Finally is healthy and playing at the top level. So yeah, they're really scary. And I'm not just to say the pick, but I just think this is a better team. I think I've talked Houston up all year. They continue to win even as they make mistakes. They're giving up a lot of yards per play, but I think some of that is also when you're building these leads, you tend to also give them back up. But in any case, I still think there's a lot to clean up with Houston, but they're really special. They're winning in spite of all this. They're also the only passing offense I think that every week I can still think is like the last 5 years and not this new too high safety thing or whatever you want to say. So yeah, they're scary to me.
Nico Collins is scary. I mean, I liked, for fantasy purposes, I liked Diggs one spot higher than Collins, which I don't think is going to age very well now having seen this. I mean, Matt Harmon's been telling us on the podcast for a couple of years that Nico Collins is ready to be Des Bryant plus, just ready to be a true X and dominate all over the field. And boy, through 2 weeks, and now I grant you, this is Indianapolis and Chicago. This might not turn out to have been murderer's row. This is probably a tougher environment. This is probably a tougher team. You're right. I'm going to be with you. They're road favorites, the Texans. We're both taking them at -2. I'll go quickly through Giants, Cleveland. In fact, let's just get a pick from you on Giants, Cleveland. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't talk about your Browns.
The only thing I'm going to ask is whose quarterback situation is worse? I just don't know. I mean, it's clearly, it's not the Giants.
No, because there's not as long a term commitment to him, right? Yeah.
This sounds nuts. I'm taking the points here. It's too many for me. I understand Cleveland's defense and the idea that Daniel Jones could implode, but at the same time, they seem to have something going on last week, which is like stay out of their way, throw it to the one guy, and let Motor Singletary just run it. Not saying it's a great plan, but this feels a little bit more like Dable has a little bit more control over the mistake threshold. Again, that's a 1 week sample against Washington, so I just want to throw that out there.
Right. I mean, that's the problem. I'm also on Giants +6.5, and I also don't feel great about it, but it just Browns don't seem like the team that I think the Browns will win, but I think they'll win by 4, yeah. So, all right, move on. The Malik Willis Packers are going to the Tennessee Titans. This guy's team. It's not America's team. It's Harris's team, apparently. They're 0-2, these Tennessee Titans, and they very clearly should be 2-0. I mean, very clearly. Will Levis is such a knucklehead that he's basically thrown 2 wins into the river that's probably near Nashville. I don't know geography.
He's definitely putting mayonnaise in his coffee or whatever that whole thing he does is. So yeah. That's
like now the one fact that everybody knows about Will Levis.
Not good.
So as of our recording this, Jordan Love apparently practiced, and but who knows what he did in practice? My assumption is you don't float multi-week injury and then be like, just kidding, he's going to play. I don't think he'll play. And if it's still Malik Willis and it's the same approach that worked very, very well against the Colts, and we saw it coming and you were like, Indy will be able to stop it. It's just running. But apparently Indy, even knowing what's coming, Gus Bradley couldn't figure it out. I think Tennessee's defense is good, and I think they're different than last year, and they've obviously changed a lot of pieces, and I don't think they're going to fall for it the way that the Colts did. But what do you think?
I agree. They also somehow collected every good cheap linebacker this year. They're just like Ernest Jones, whoever. They just were like, let's do it. So yeah, this obviously is a Malik Willis line, clearly, and it's a Malik Willis revenge game. But yeah, it's about applying. We talked about it's not quite like New England, but it's similar in the sense that they don't have so many outs if they got down. Not to say that Tennessee is some world beater, but they have started really well and have no idea how to finish or contain a game. But yeah, I think as long as you keep Tennessee out of their own way, again, this is the premise with Tennessee. This is why this is a 2-point line and not 3.5. What would this be if they hadn't shot themselves in the foot the last 2 weeks, right? This would be over a kick. So that did happen. Will Levis does exist, but I'm still going to do this. I had it at 3, so I'm going to go with it.
Revenge game. I see in the chat they wanted the revenge game. Derek wanted it, and Max wanted it. Revenge game.
And now can you do here we go, just real quick?
Here we go. We haven't done that game yet, but we'll get to that game eventually. I'm going to be, for a lot of the similar reasons, I'm going to be back on my Tennessee Titans. I don't find it to be an outrageous line, and I felt like the Green Bay line last week was absolutely stealing money as a home dog against that pretty rancid Colts team. So it's not like I don't like the Packers, but yeah, I'm going to be on Tennessee here by a little margin. It's not going to be one of my best bets like it has the first 2 weeks when I went 0-2. There is some crazy stat about 0-2 teams against the spread over the past several years because people just assume they're bad, right? And if Jordan Love winds up being the quarterback, please don't play Tennessee as a favorite because I don't think that's how it will work out. But I also don't think he's going to wind up playing. All right, the aforementioned Bears at the aforementioned Colts, 2 teams that I don't think are very good with 2 quarterbacks who may be the Spider-Man pointing meme. How do you suss out the developments of Anthony Richardson and Caleb Williams?
Yeah, that's difficult. With Richardson, there's moments where it's truly scary in terms of just what are we working with here? Caleb just seems like he's always trying to make a magic trick, and it's just he's not even at the party anymore. It's just you're in the parking lot. We've already paid you. Please go home. And so he just does too much. Whereas sometimes I wonder if Richardson can even do it. If that like just normal. Like sometimes you're like there had to be another receiver there, but no, he just lasered it to the safety. So there's some real issues staring guys down. I'm concerned a little bit with regards to how bad that Colts offense looked last week, and that I picked them to go over. I don't know how many wins, but that's not going to happen. So yeah, with this, I think the Bears are. You talked to mention the Bears secondary. I think their secondary is strong. They haven't been able to stop many running games, but again, that could be an issue, I suppose, if they actually commit to Jonathan Taylor. But at the same time, I'm taking the points here. I don't think this Colts team is very good. I'm starting to recognize that their defense isn't good, and everybody knows it so far. And the path to it is kind of clear. And you'd hope this will be a real test for Shane Waldron. I don't know if he's good at passing tests, but this would be a great test to see if he can recognize how easy it is to not easy, but the formula's here. So hopefully they take it.
Can you give the ball to DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert and get the hell out of the way? That's an interesting question. I'm going to be on the Colts, though. I don't like it. I'm a half point off of it, but it's Colts minus 1.5. We mentioned Broncos, Buccaneers when we were talking about Nick's survivor pick. I don't want to talk about this game. The Broncos are going to muggy Florida, and they are 6.5 point road dog. Who do you like?
So this is going to be my classic analysis, which would be that road dog, any dog of 5.5 or more points is 9-1 against the spread this year. And that said, I'm taking the Tampa Bay Bucks.
You know why I'm taking Denver is because we've had a couple of 6.5s this year, and it's felt like an absolute sucker bet to take the favorite, and the favorite has lost, I think, both of them. So I'm going to be on Denver, but I don't feel strongly about it. The Chargers of Los Angeles, where I currently am, are visiting a colder, I don't know, probably not that cold, but colder environment with a gritty fan base, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But then again, Jim Harbaugh so gritty himself. So forget about point spread. I don't care about that yet. What I want to know is who's grittier, Jim Harbaugh or the city of Pittsburgh?
I think it's Harbaugh. I lived in Pittsburgh for a little bit, but Harbaugh, like, he really doesn't have any other pants. That's like all he wears. Those khakis have been on since like 1987. He played in those with the Colts in the AFC Championship game. So probably him, just based on the fact that everybody knows it. That's why he left Michigan. It wasn't because it was because his pants. But no, Jim Harbaugh is not that gritty. I'm lying. It's Pittsburgh. Jim Harbaugh has like a $45 million house probably. So it's John who's gritty. John was the gritty one. Clearly.
He was the special teams coach, right? And didn't actually play in the league. Yeah. Fair.
He was the one Jim and all his friends beat up. And then look what happened. Who's older, though? I don't even know. So.
Jim is older than John.
So that makes sense. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
You
nailed it. So. This is a rock fight, and there's a reason these totals, get real low on some of these games, because you have a sense that neither team particularly wants to push the envelope, especially knowing that Justin Herbert, like, unnecessarily got wrenched around like a maniac, fumbling away, stupid. It was a playbook. It was right out of Will Levis's playbook.
He stepped into a mess, and it was like a 30. Guys, he had like 6 seconds of protection too. It was about a very strange play.
Very bad play. It just strikes me that, this is a rock fight. No question about it. I was wrong. I said the Steelers lose that game against Denver last week. And there were many times they tried. But Bo Nix, the power of Bo Nix to blow games is far too strong for the Steelers to blow this game.
Blow Nix. That's his new name. So, yeah.
Botox. I've been calling him Botox.
That works.
Yeah.
That works.
Steelers are minus 1.5. What do you think?
This is difficult for me, but I'm going to take the points here. I just think the Chargers have maybe the best. I understand that he's hurt, that Herbert might be hurt, but Justin Fields is hurt in a different way. Just not being as good as Justin Herbert at football. So
emotionally, he's very hurt emotionally. Yeah.
Egotistic. It's an ego injury, and then you have Russell Wilson saying weird pieces of advice, like very, just
give me one piece that you're assuming that Russell is giving. Give me one.
Yeah, he's like, here's my Subway card. Tell them you want, extra pastrami, and that means to poison him. So he's going to take his job back. Not poison him, slowly with extra sodium. Bloating. So in any case, Justin Fields, a lot of pastrami. He's a problem.
What?
No, seriously, I really do think the Chargers get who they are. It's like it's they know who they are. They're the khakis, punch you in the face team. So yeah.
But I think the Steelers do too. I'm gonna take.
I just think they're good at that. Yeah.
I'm gonna give the points. I'm gonna give 1.5. So we're on opposite sides here. But honestly, I'm gonna change my bet if I see the pregame warmups and Justin Fields' face looks bloated.
There you go.
I'm out. He's had the Russell Wilson pastrami.
Yeah.
And I'm out. That would not be what we want. You know what? While I've got like 100 people in here right now, let's do a like spike. Let's when I go 3, 2, 1, I want everybody to hit like at the same time. It does maybe I hit the microphone. Potentially help a little bit. So okay, everybody ready on the button? Who cares? I know it's silly, but just do it, please. It would be lovely. 3, 2, 1. Hit a like. We get a lot of likes, maybe. Yeah, sure. There they go. I see them.
That's the ticket.
I see some likes now. It's good. My words are going out over the internet. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for the like spikes. All right. So we're on to the late games, and we've got 49ers Rams, and the 49ers are coming here to Los Angeles. The stadium will be 80% Niner fans. I can speak from experience there. And a battle of injuries, injured receivers, and probably like 2 of the biggest superstars in fantasy on each team, both out. You've got McCaffrey and Debo out for the 49ers. You've got Kupp and Puka Nacua out for the Rams. So I think the answer is obvious, but then again, both teams lost last week. The Niners kind of looked like a dud offensively. Who's in sort of more dire condition football-wise as a result of the drain on skill talent?
I mean, it'd be the Rams just because they don't have as many layers. They were more fragile at the top. I would also just think like other things have occurred, like Jonah Jackson, who already had some concerns coming in, but now he's out for he's on IR, right? So
tackle, yeah.
So and they needed him at center, and they removed. So they had all these moving parts of this plan that was supposed to be this road grading plan. A lot of it just ended up being sort of top heavy or fragile. Look, a lot of bad things happened at once. You can't predict those things, but they're a fragile team, and whereas San Francisco has more layers, they're more insulated. Even look at how Mason's played; it's a function of how they set their offense up. So, I also still think just that the 49ers still have their defensive base. I know they've struggled, but I still think this is a championship team.
Why do you think the 49ers defense has looked pretty more? I mean, they looked fine against the Jets, but they looked pretty mortal against the Vikings, and some of it was a bolt of lightning, Justin Jefferson 97-yard, whatever that was. But I agree with you that throughout a lot of that game, when Minnesota needed to impose its will, it kind of did.
They did, yeah. I think some of it has to do with like the Javon Hargrave deal, like some of the money they put into tackle, and I think, they've dealt with some issues like DeForest Buckner, he's not there. Eric Armstead, he left what I meant. Buckner left years ago. But the idea is they've had some attrition that we're not counting, meaning like Armstead isn't this big name. He is, but not to us. We think Bosa. But listen, they lost Hargrave. For whatever you want to think about how Chase Young played, he was a good run stopper last year for them. They've just lost like names and didn't replace them. They can't because they're paying all these other top-end deals. So I think they've hollowed out a little bit. Look, Ty Chandler had like 7 yards of carry almost or whatever. So and that was money time. That wasn't cleaning the game up. That was real. And Naylor. So you said all that, but the point is, I still trust that. One, I don't think that the Rams are going to be as good as on offense as that Vikings team played last week, just because of the attrition you talked about. They don't have Justin Jefferson. I know he left, but he still was there for a big win percentage play. So either way. I think the big issue is the Rams might really fall apart. So
okay, fair point. Niners are getting a lot of respect here with a 7-point road favorite.
I'm giving it.
I'm cowarding out. This is my other push.
This is my first push. Earlier. I don't know why I said that 9-1 stat. But sorry.
Yeah, man. We're going over to the chat. And we're saying, Max says it's time for the Justin Fields 50-point once-a-year game. Probably Max possible. Means for fantasy, but it could just be for the Steelers, 50 points. Who knows?
Possible.
Right?
It's possible. Yeah. It's always possible. It depends, again, on if Subway's open in central Pittsburgh. So.
Kyle says, does anybody think that Jordan Whittington will be the best wide receiver out of him, Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson? And my answer is probably no, that I would probably make the bet on Robinson first. But I said on the waiver show on Tuesday that like if I were choosing between Whittington and Tyler Johnson, I might, even though it's a lower downside, I think it might be a little higher upside mode to go Jordan Whittington. And it might, Jim, just be the lure of the unknown, the meteoric rise through training camp, and suddenly this guy that nobody expected to make the team looks like a starting receiver. Whereas and it seemed like once Kupp was out in the second half last week, he was doing slightly more Kupp related things that Tyler Johnson just can't do. So I don't, if you're talking DFS, if you're talking about like a really deep shot in a fantasy league, I don't hate the idea of Whittington.
No, and I mean they're going to have to be on the field. They play a lot of 3 receiver sets. Like he'll be out there. He was look. He's a preseason god. I mean, he's like the best preseason DFS player I think ever. But yeah, it's a question mark. But there is a lot of scalability here, so that would be the point. That there's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of void to capture.
And he's the only unknown. I mean, we've seen Demarcus Robinson.
Right, that's what I mean. In terms of scalability, yeah, you're right. Like he could just take a role, and you'd have to believe it, but you could believe it in a week. Whereas I'm not going to believe that that suddenly Robinson's a completely different player. So yeah.
Right. All right, we're going to go fast through Dolphins Seahawks. The Seahawks are a 4.5 point favorite against a team that if Tua were playing, there's a chance they're a home dog. But that swing from Tua to Skylar Thompson seems pretty legit. Who do you like point spread wise in that game?
Yeah, this time I'm taking the points. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. I think Skylar Thompson's not good, but I think this team's going to run. We just saw the Patriots successfully do that. Not to say that Mike McDaniel is going to run that scheme, but I think, look, we saw 30 touches from Devon Achane not that long ago, like 12 days ago, 10 days ago. So, yeah, I'm going to take the points just because Seattle continues to show me that they're Seattle. And I have to stop. I have to get over that part.
I'm giving them. I feel strongly that I'm going to give them. I'm giving them. We're on a lot of opposites. I think I get it. I get the impulse to want, because this is a big reaction.
It is.
This point spread is a big move, and like
it feels like
last
this week's Malik Willis. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly. No, you took the thought right in my head. I love it. And yet I kind of just first of all, it's in Seattle, and second of all, I've seen Skylar Thompson like in a playoff game. Like I just don't believe that this kid can make it run at all. So I'm going to be on the Seattle side of it. All right, Chiefs. Not sure they deserve to beat Cincinnati. They get another call at the end of the game, but it's a legit call. It's pass interference. I get it that people want the game to be decided by the players and not the officials, but then don't climb the guy's back on an uncatchable pass. Like it is a penalty. You can't get around it. It stinks that the Chiefs play so many close games, and they're the. I mean, here it is, Jim. Here's the peril that I laid out on the podcast. Here it is. I'm a Patriot fan. Been a Patriot fan all my life. And for 20 years, this is exactly what I saw. Probably not the best team on any given day, but all you have to do is not urinate on yourself. And eventually most teams will do it for you. They'll urinate on themselves or you or anywhere. Just wait. And like, this is what they did to the Bengals in that AFC Championship game where the guy hits Mahomes out of bounds when they're about to go to overtime. Like if you wait around, and obviously the Chiefs have figured this out.
Yeah, if you keep it a high wire act, somebody's going to fall, and you've learned the routine. And that is like the new thing. That was Reed and Mahomes. Like now they know it. Before that was the question, and now we see the Niners are the other end of that. Like they can't navigate that. So, I mean, they don't always win those games. The Eagles, for example, don't always win those games. Directly to this Chiefs team. I mean, even when they've had the chance at the high leverage moment. So, yeah, there's something about this team that they really did this line well. I mean, I know you didn't mention it, and I'm talking about the football analysis as well, but 3.5 is a great line. They're giving 3.5 points to the Chiefs on the road in Atlanta. Very difficult. But my thing is that as much as this is a fair line, but I don't know if it respects enough that Spags actually has video of Kirk Cousins, whereas the Eagles didn't really spend much. I don't know if the Eagles have the personnel to do it, to get Kirk Cousins off his spot. Like Bryce Huff he has zero pressure, zero anything, but $39 million. But I will say that's not going to happen with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to. Plus, Spags is crazy. He's going to send 7 guys. So I'm willing to give these points just because Kirk Cousins. They're going to make Kirk Cousins do things, whereas the Eagles couldn't really do that.
You'll remember that last week I was on Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because it was over 3. And
Yeah.
this week I'm going to be on Atlanta because it's over 3. Because the Chiefs are going to play a field goal game. Chiefs going to win.
Yeah.
I'm positive they're going to win by 2. And by the way, in the chat, I need to acknowledge Kevin saying the PP runneth, and Ty saying just wait around for someone to urinate. See, this is why we're all friends.
Wait around.
All you people watching, that's why we're all friends, because you get me. Get me.
You do.
So man, we are truly, Jim, we are on some opposite sides here. The big marquee game, the Tom Brady announced game. Wow, what a draw that is. We've got the Ravens going to Dallas. Feels like it should be a sexier matchup. It's 0-2 against 1-1. I'm not positive it's all that sexy. And the presence of Tom Brady, while visually probably very sexy for some portion of the population, my God, can we just take a moment? Tom Brady's not very good at this.
No, he's not. And I hope he just didn't work. I hope he's just really busy, like at parties or something, and having fun, and just like, I got this. Like, I mean, I hope it's not that he's putting as much work as he did into his NFL career, and realizing that he's not good at everything, and this isn't working, right? Like the commercials, they're not that great, buddy. Like, this might be an example of that. Like we all have our talents. Like stick, like he should throw footballs.
Well, I mean, the Dolphins would probably love it. When we come back.
Yeah.
But don't you think that if you get paid lots and lots of money to talk about football on the telly, you should talk about football? Like, it's just he's a cliche machine. He's not really saying anything. He's not giving any, like, okay, I get it. Tony Romo got taken down several pegs for guessing plays, and early Romo for the football fan was wonderful, but I guess maybe for the non-football fan who was casually watching, they were annoyed by him seeming to know facts. I don't know. But like the person he replaced, Greg Olsen, he's a good watch. He's not like the greatest, but he's a good watch because he points out things you don't necessarily see. I've watched both games. I've yet to see Brady say one thing that I couldn't. He really hung in the pocket there. Thanks. My eyeballs are functioning. That's why I'm watching you on television. I'm not.
It's like Magic Johnson tweeting or something. It's just like it's like congratulations to the champions. It's like, wait, that's a first down. Nah, is it?
Right.
That's a 5-yard play was a first down. So
this game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Ravens will hinge on the question of who scores more points.
Like Greg Olsen's in Charlotte. Like what did I do? Like what happened?
Robot Brady, says Kevin, is currently dating Robot Talia. Oh, Robot Brady could only hope to get some Robot Talia. Oh okay. So anyway, the Ravens are going to Dallas.
They are.
And we should talk about the game for a second.
We should.
What do you think the problem is with the Ravens? How do they? I mean, we know how they lose to the Chiefs. That was a weird game and just a bunch of crazy stuff at the end. A toenail of Isaiah Likely, and they win that first game. How do they lose that game to the Raiders, and what does it say about them?
They waited around to be on themselves, which is the strange part in that game. Meaning they had so many opportunities to put that one away. It was just your classic Baltimore urinal, and they really. It was strange. It was so not like them. But maybe is this the year that finally all like the poaching like actually did something to Baltimore? Like they've usually been able to survive these and have the next man up. I suppose I don't buy that as much. Like I think it still is Baltimore. I think there still is like a good Baltimore team. They've definitely. I don't know what happened last week, I guess is my point. Because week 1 I think they played a good game, but had to play out of character. Hopefully whatever your fab bids were on Isaiah Likely, you recognize that like he's never going to throw 40 passes again in his life. So, meaning that was atypical, but last week was a typical one that they lost. That was how they wanted to play. So I'm going to turn it back on you because I'm not exactly sure what I saw there. They had the game won up until 7 minutes. It felt like a normal Baltimore game.
It felt like a normal Baltimore game, and then it felt like they pulled the ripcord and said, we're not that. They're not going to score twice. We're fine. Sure. And then it turned out they were going to score twice. So in other words, as much attention as Lamar gets, as much attention as the revolving door at right tackle gets for the Ravens, and it deserves it. Max Crosby had 4 sacks in the first quarter, I think. Like they needed to figure it out, but they kind of did as the game went along. I think the defense could be a problem, man.
Yeah.
It's got all those names, and I'm not sure. I think is Roquan Smith good?
I think the thing is people are recognizing how big he is. He's a very large man, and last year he had he's like if he's the Levante David, he had Patrick Queen to like say like you're the fast guy, go do that, and he basically that's what the word was that he like directed the team, kind of how Levante David does for where Luke Kuechly might have, but now he doesn't have that special talent around him to help him to get to those plays. Yeah, maybe having a 265-pound linebacker is your best defense. Yeah,
it's very Belichickian.
Yes.
That's the guy Belichick wants, right?
Dalius Thomas. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
To fill the gap. He's a two-gapper, by God.
Yes.
That's almost the revenge game voice, guys.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I got to save the revenge game voice.
There you go. It's like a Drake Kirkpatrick thing. Exactly. It's like this unicorn they're trying to find, but teams can recognize how to take that out of the game. That being said, I like Baltimore. I do.
They're favored on the road by 1.
I think they're the punch you in the face team a little bit more. And last week, look, for all the Eagles' faults, the Dallas really just got pummeled last week, and so
they did.
We'll find out. So
I think it's an overreaction. I'm on the Cowboys. We are really varying in a major way.
I'm really hoping you don't do well. Yeah.
Love you too, buddy. Just give me a pick. No rationale for Panthers Raiders. It's Raiders -5.
Too many points. Panthers Dalton.
We're agreeing on that one. My God, how bad do we think Bryce Young is that we're like, yeah, Andy Dalton, you're going to save this team? That's not good. The Lions, who offensively, buddy, I want to ask you about the Lions offense because something's wrong. They're going to Arizona, and the Cardinals are getting a lot of respect. They really crushed the Rams, and they hung with the Bills in week 1. But I think this story, fine, I can accept that the Cardinals have improved. For the Cardinals fans watching, you can see the path. You can see that they've built an offensive line. Marvin Harrison made some plays down the field. Maybe Kyler's the guy. We'll see whether that winds up being fooled gold. They sort of are what they are. I was told that the Lions offense is super elite, and through 2 weeks, it has very much not looked elite.
It's strange. This looks like this should be the realization kind of year, right? Like everything's together. You added that other component with Jameson Williams. It should be additive, but it feels like they're still figuring things out. Like how much they spend a lot of time trying to seem to get JMO on track, which is fun, but it kills drives too. Like it's not the same drive it's not the same continuous thing that we talked about before about on your podcast about how it's not the same chain moving offense with like Amon-Ra, the predictable offense. They're trying to switch it up. Something is happening that's changing. A lot of it's Goff too. I mean, Goff is playing. He's missing a lot of plays, and what he was killing on before the play action, he's like below average. Whereas Derek Carr stole his soul or something. Also, like the other question is like, is Arizona? That's not a dome. Are they going to close the ceiling? Because Jared Goff can't play under the sun.
But Jared Goff hasn't played very well these 2 weeks and played and I was told Jared Goff was a wonderful investment this year because so many domes, and it may turn out that those causation is not correlation or correlation is not causation. Both of those.
I don't know, but a snow cone in the sun is not good. So that might be what happens here. At the same time, I'm buying this Arizona thing. I don't know why. I am. I do know why because I think Kyler is a lot different. I think he's better. I think we're enough removed that we're back to being a little bit more of a threat. So, yeah, I'm going to take the points at home.
This is Lions -3 on the road at Arizona. That's the market showing a lot of faith in a Lions team that hasn't looked very good. Yeah. It's exactly the line I set, so that's my second push. I'm only allowed 2, so I'm not playing that one. 2 Monday night games because ESPN wants people to hate them. And Jim, I know as a spokesperson for ESPN, you're very worried about that. The Jags are at Buffalo, and the Commanders are at Cincinnati, and people are going to be watching these games, but only with one eyeball apiece. So maybe we only don't need to do the full analysis because they're going to be on at the same time. First of all, dude, if you're like me and you are making notes furiously for a podcast, I'm usually behind because I'm pausing the DVR. And so could you not give me a live look in on the game that I have paused? I would love that. If you could do you know Jimmy Pitaro? Could you talk to him for me?
No. He's at Woj's dinner. It's not going to work. No, but seriously, this game, these teams.
There's two games.
There's 2 games. I know, but I'm only going to focus on the one game. I'm going to forget the
All
other
right.
game. No, seriously.
Jags,
but
Jags,
the
Bills.
Jaguars haven't been good for a while. When they started 8-3 last year, right? They're very Eagles. Like they're the AFC Eagles. Just no one noticed. Meaning they were in pole position. Weren't they the 1 seed at one point last year in the AFC? Pretty deep. I mean, like double-digit weeks, and since then have been. I think they have 3 wins since then. And the question is Lawrence. What's going on here? Brian Thomas Jr. is really good. A lot of the other things that they've pulled out aren't very good. Doug might not have it. Doug might be a 2017 type of guy.
Oh, that must break your heart. I know how much you love Doug Peterson.
I don't have it.
Okay. I don't think you and I can answer this question, but I think the danger for the Bills is just how last year we ran into how many defensive injuries was too many. Defensive injury, they just ran out of guys on defense, and it clearly they went on a great run, but when it got to nut cutting time, they couldn't do it. They are approaching linebacker death. Is that a thing? Like they're just losing so many guys. I don't know that I can ever like point to the moment and go, okay, now I know for sure that this team has too many injuries on defense for me to trust them.
Sure.
I don't know. We don't. Yeah, you're exactly right. We don't really know it until it's behind us, and then we're like, oh, that was probably the point, wasn't it? Which is why, like, this game is Bills -5. I think it should be more, frankly.
Yeah, I agree too. I had it at 6. I just don't think Jacksonville's good. And Buffalo, like they just do find a way. They not that they're Kansas City, but especially at home, I think this is going to be kind of a clinic, actually.
I mean, that said, I'm remembering a home game against Denver that they were a heavy favorite in on Monday night last year. That they
that was awful.
Yeah. All right. The other one is the Commanders against the Bengals. And boy, I mean, Dan Quinn is supposed to fix things on defense, and it absolutely does not look like he's fixed a bloody thing.
I mean, at some point, again, I don't know what he's supposed to do. They gave him like some money to bring like a couple. They spent all their money on linebackers, which is also strange. We talked about linebackers. Strange approach. I know the no linebackers approach is also strange. Going the absolute other way is also strange. They don't have talent. There's not really talent here. This isn't a scheme thing. I don't know what he can do, really.
Okay.
So
fair.
So I don't know what he can do. They traded off their defensive ends. They whiffed badly on inside linebackers 2 years in a row. Who takes an inside linebacker in the first round? What are we doing? Like Jamin Davis, terrible. So this is too many points for me, though. I know but I just think the Cincinnati team. Why are they getting this much respect? Is my question. What are they doing? I know last week they almost beat a good Chiefs team, but they didn't beat them, and it didn't. I don't know how they got to it. Like what? I looked at the box score. I was like, what happened? So maybe I'm fantasy doing this too much, but I just don't know. This Cincinnati team's underwhelming me. They're hurting my feelings, and I think that the Commanders have a way to stay around. They do.
Jaden Daniels is the way to stay
around.
I just
think rather not stay around. They have a way to cover. Is really the point.
Yeah, they probably do. I mean, Cincinnati doesn't overwhelm me with greatness for sure. I do feel like Cincinnati's passing game will get right and find a way.
This might be the slump buster. Yeah.
Name its number. I've certainly said that about early season Joe Burrow games in the past. I don't find a great value here at Cincinnati -7.5. This is one of those sucker lines the other way. So you're the sucker for taking the Commanders at 7.5. At 6.5 if you take the favorite, So I'm the savvy investor here. By a half a point. Like I don't feel strongly about it, but I am going to take the Bengals. If you had to pick, let's say 2 best bets of the week.
Yes, Houston. I'm on them again. I think.
All right.
2 points is I can live with that, and I know it's right away, but I'm taking New England. Just I don't see. I just think that again, kicker game. I felt that right away when I saw that.
Okay. I'm also going to take New England, so that's the kiss of death.
There you go.
Patriots are going to get slaughtered. But yeah, I feel like that line is too big, and I'm going to take the Bills. The game we just talked about, I feel like that line isn't big enough, and I'm kind of with you that I need to see a lot more out of Jacksonville, and we'll see how it goes. But you know what? We got a lot of people watching live. Thank you. And we also have a lot of people watching after the fact, and all of you can comment, and we want to know your best bet. And one of these weeks, I'm going to remember to ask Dave to give me a name of someone who got a best bet right, and then I'll say them and shout them out. But I forgot again. I'm not good at this. Tell us down in the comments. What do you think? Not in the chat. I see you posting in the chat right now. Don't do that. Down in the comments, let us know who your best bet is point spread wise for the week. And we will, by golly, by week 4, figure it all out and shout somebody out next week. That's going to do it for this live stream. Thanks to all the many people who came along. We have about 100 people watching right now. We had many hundreds check in and out. We love you very much. You're very funny. I love watching the chat. It's very flattering to have you all here. If you're watching this after the fact, we love you too. Although 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays, come hang out with us because it is fun and we will talk to you a little bit. Thank you very much to DraftKings for sponsoring. If you want to maybe say thank you to us and you were thinking about maybe getting a DraftKings account, please do sign up using the code HarrisTube, all one word. It helps us out. It lets DraftKings know that sponsoring the show works, and we're very indebted to you. That's going to do it for the wonderful producer, David Piper, for the wonderful co-host, Jim McCormick. I am merely okay. Chris, you're great in the chat. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.